banking, and for drivers and people watching, I haven't driven that bank section of the racetrack as well. I had to actually walk the track this morning, and I didn't realize how banked it actually was until I got a chance to walk it. It's quite banked, and if you attack it wrong, even on the dry, you can lose the wheel cart there. We're 4 wide now, exiting turn number 7 there. This can get pretty dicey early on. You don't want to be 3 wide here because it tightens up towards the exit of the chicane there. Somehow, some way, the drivers are all staying and facing the right direction here, fighting and sawing at the wheel with how slick this racetrack is, and one driver again has looped it around in front of the field. The 45 now facing the wrong direction, and this is your first time seeing wet weather driving, especially wet weather driving on slick tires. This is difficult for any driver.
Yeah, it's really shaking it up a bit. And the last 5 minutes, right before even the driver went out, there was actually pretty solid downpour that came down, and it really hasn't been something that you think would make the track this wet, but it's just been so consistent in such a long period of time that it's just built up over and over, and all the way from the B and the A main, it's just continuously, as you can see, drivers are struggling. They're going backwards, left and right, left and right.
Yeah, I mean, they were crawling up the hill, and the leader, Sandvik, has spun around in front of the field there, and great job from Hoff and Cummings there to at least avoid Sandvik through turn number 11. The rest of the field is just skating around the racetrack. You can see them fighting to put the power down on the front straightaway here, Frankie. Now, something that is underrated in driving in the wet, especially if you have not done it before, is offline on the straightaways as well to set up your braking points.
100%. These people don't anticipate it coming into the final corner, how much rubber or how much grip they have to be able to keep on the track. They all end up into the final curve, and it puts them on. You know, as we can even see, I honestly think the AstroTurf may even have more grip right now, as you can see.
Yeah, the only problem is when you hit some grass like that, it tends to actually accelerate you, so it really just depends. Obviously, we don't want the drivers just using the grass to their advantage, but you have a really good point. I mean, this surface at this point is reflecting the pools on the circuit with how much standing water this track is producing at this point. And with slick tires, it doesn't evacuate water nearly as much or at all compared to a wet weather tire, which has grooves in it. It's almost like a road tire. For those back at home who are familiar with wet weather tires, they just have a lot of grooves to evacuate water. For one, it helps you drive a little bit quicker, gives more grip. 2, it evacuates water, so when it stops raining, that is actually how the track starts to dry, because right now if you look out, if you're here at the racetrack, or if you look at some of our cameras, not a whole lot of sunshine going on here in Winchester, so this track will probably remain this wet, I would say, up until the rest of the day. It's going to be tough for this track to dry out with how much standing water there is. You see the water getting pushed out almost like room to kind of sweep the racetrack there on the exit. Power down too quickly, loops it around. It's that easy.
I saw a woman with almost no clothes running through an open field. Instinct kicked in.
That was Hoff there in the 12. He actually was fighting for the lead on the opening couple of laps, and he has now found himself spun around. That's the 16 machine of a day, sitting in an 11th at the moment, and it looks like he is struggling to get this go-kart refired. He must have lost it in the middle portion of the racetrack. That's actually the 18. Apologies there. That's the 18 of Brian Sanders in 17th at the moment, and just struggling to get the go-kart refired. Unfortunately, it looks like his day will be cut short a couple of laps here for the C main. Here's a good look at your leaders, and again, very common in wet weather driving. Hugely spread out field, just trying to figure out where you're going. And something else to note, you see the spray off the back of the go-kart here. When you're behind somebody in the wet, Frankie, how difficult is it sometimes to have any sort of visibility?
100%. I think Campbell's in a good position right now. He has somebody to chase him. You can see him as well. With Diamond, and what they probably have is trying to even find position. And actually, a driver's taking advantage of the AstroTurf, like we talked about the lap before, and they're going to go at it for the lead right here.
Yeah, again, I mean, below turn 2.
Backwards.
Straight shot turn 3 as the 49 of Diamond. He was P2 last time around. Loops it through turn number 6. And again, I talked about it before the race even started. It's a race of survival. This is not a race of how fast can I go. A lot of drivers, if all you are accustomed to is indoor driving, K1 speed style, right? If you're not doing the league racing and you're just going there for laps, you're used to doing lap times. That is not important in a race like this. It's all about keeping it on the racetrack. Unless you're Travis Myers, who's able to spin and win in the B-main, but for some of these drivers here, this is a much closer field than we saw in the B-main, and so a spin and win is probably not in the cards here, as I saw that one happening. Yeah, just struggling, carrying too much speed down the hill, and momentum is going against you. Like gravity's not in your favor as well, so once you're going downhill, that rear of the go-kart with, you know, the electric motor, everything's behind the driver's seat, so once you start losing the rear, it's a big pendulum effect, and you might catch it one way, but every reaction is an equal and opposite reaction, right? So you start turning right too much, you're losing the other way, and it loops around.
Right, I mean, we look at Sandvik, he was in the lead, I think, for the first 2 or 3 laps, and then when the rain started to come down even more, coming into the second to last corner, he lost it. Like you said, it's a race about survival at this point. These drivers are going to try to just keep it on track, not lose all the momentum that they have, and, you know, if you turn a lap that's 5 tenths slower than the guy in front of you, and he makes a 10-second mistake with a spin or going off track or anything like that, you're going to be right back up to him.
I gotta say, we have a fight for the lead here. There must have been a mistake up front. So for Kolb, he was your leader. Now the 23 of Matthew Campbell there gets to the points around Kolb there on the final corner. So Campbell was sitting, I want to say, third 2 laps ago, fighting with Diamond. He was on Diamond for times. And there goes Kolb, 1 round in front of the field. We talked about that AstroTurf, but sometimes it can bite you if you grab it the wrong way on entry there. And so now for Matt Campbell, his lead has grown tremendously here, but can he keep it on the racetrack? It is not easy, even by yourself, to navigate this circuit with how wet it is. And that has now unleashed the shackles there of, I believe, Cummings there to go to P2.
Yeah, from 4th to 2nd, you can go from the lead to 5th. It all changes just in a lap with one mistake. I mean, that AstroTurf, I think, is very unforgiving. It's very, but also at the same time, like, you're in Campbell's position right now, you're grateful for him. There's a track on such a good so obviously instructed to stay off of it. If you look out on track right now, there's not much track to be left to use. Look at the LSs right here. And it looks like somebody poured soapy water down.
Yeah, exactly. On our screen, it's actually Max Campbell there, who now leads on board the 23 machine, and you can see him tiptoeing around the circuit. But I gotta say, I love the technique here. Smooth hands, wait for the nose to set before applying easy throttle on the entry and on the exit. Sorry. So again, you'll see some drivers in this sort of condition. It's really tough to do this style of driving. But we see some drivers kind of chuck the go-kart in, full 90-degree lock, and try to shift some weight, use some throttle to rotate. But it's not always the fastest way around, as Max Campbell's finding out there, just using the rear to rotate the go-kart. But he seems to have a pretty good feel for that right pedal there, and just understanding exactly how much gas it takes to get the kart to turn in. Tries to diamond the corner slightly there, and it's actually working.
Yeah, he's
So
patient.
if you look at his exit, you wonder why he's not tracking out all the way. It's because there's a couple reasons. Red and white curving, paint, slick. 2, all the rubber that builds up on the normal racing line becomes ice when it rains. So you want to actually exit on essentially the marbles, what would have been marble buildup on a normal racetrack. It becomes actually grippier than what rubber would be. If you look on the right side of your screen versus the left side of your screen, it's a lot darker on the left side of your screen. That means it's more grip than the shiny stuff. You don't want to go where there's standing water, where there's a lot more water.
And Sandvik goes back around again.
Then there is grip. And Sandvik, his race started out really good, but unfortunately just unable to navigate wet weather conditions as well as some of the guys around him.
The DraftKings Casino app is the place for jackpots. I like my wins Texas-sized. New players.
Max Campbell there, all sorts of sideways through turn number 6, really trying to find the limit of the racetrack. Behind him, Cooper Kolb and Zachary Allen are going after him pretty good there. That's a fight for 2nd and 3rd at the moment. So we saw Cooper Kolb go around in turn number 2 in front of Max Campbell. He's found himself back in that position of fights for at least a top 3 finish here in the teammate. So it's been a pretty solid comeback drive actually for Cooper Kolb. collapsed cart there. Says a little wave, a little apology there to get into him in the final corner, but he'll see the checkered flag first. Your C main winner, Max Campbell, behind him. Let's see how they all sorted out in the final couple of corners. A spin there for, I believe, Brody Day. Let's see who crosses the line P2. It's Ari Diamond from 4th. Who's going to cross the line in 3rd? It looks like Cooper Cole. Then it's Brody Day. Joseph Cummings is going to round out your top 5. No, sorry, Sandvik there gets around Joseph. So let's see where Joseph fell back to. He must have had a spin in the middle portion of the racetrack right as we cut away from him there. So for Joseph Cummings, his top 5 finish is not going to happen here in the C main. Max Campbell, your winner. He looped it around. Maybe he was doing some donuts. I don't know. But Max Campbell loops it around on the in-lap here. Just goes to show you how slick this portion of the racetrack actually is. How tough it is to drive. At K1 circuit, maybe we'll get some sunshine, but I don't know. C-main's done. More action to come later on. Next up is your qualifiers. Internationals for Max Campbell. Hold on a show for us here again. Jump out. Stand over by that light post, right? All right. Brody Day, Logan Sandvik, your top 5, and the rest of the field from Zachary Allen down to William Nakamura, your top 15 drivers, and the rest of the field here for your United States division here. Next up, international qualifiers.
You just went sideways and I couldn't avoid it. I'm like,
I know, dude. Don't worry about it. It's slicks on wets. Slicks on the wet is fucking stupid, dude.
and then like whenever he would get, like when I was like, we were battling each other, whenever he would get in front of me or behind me, like you could always, well, when he was, oh, he crashed down there too. So he's bombed out.
Yeah, he's done now.
It's just, it's getting worse by the minute. Literally, like there's just puddles every corner.
It's not even the rain, it's the standing water that's sitting on the
Yeah,
track.
because like down there it's horrible.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's where all the water you can feel, dude. It all goes right down to there.
Yeah. I'm like, the second I hit him, I'm like, oh my god.
Can the guy drive back, or is he gonna walk? It looks like he's kind of moving. Or is he walking? He's fine. Okay, good.
Shoot.
Alright, here I come, bro. I got my wipers on. Okay, we got a go-kart under power.
Ooh.
Every event, bro. Fucking league night,
Big ring.
world championship.
Never.
Bro.
Lift this?